Okay, so picture this. You're scrolling through car news and you stumble on a headline that says, "I drove Tesla's Nightmare, the EV that's illegal to sell in America." And your first thought is probably, wait, what? An EV that's illegal to sell here? What's that even mean? I know, it sounds like clickbait, but trust me, there's a wild story behind it, and it says a lot about where the car world is heading, especially when it comes to electric vehicles. So let's dive in. I promise, by the end of this, you'll look at the whole EV scene a little differently. And hey, if you're into stories that make you think twice about what's happening behind the scenes in tech and cars, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more where this came from. All right, back to that headline. When someone says they drove Tesla's Nightmare, they're not talking about some haunted Model 3 or a car that randomly plays spooky noises through the speakers. What they're really talking about is a new breed of electric vehicles, mostly from China, but not just there, that are shaking up the global market. These cars are fast, affordable, packed with cool features. And get this, you can't actually buy them in the US. Not legally anyway. Now, let's break down why that is. Because on the surface, it sounds kind of ridiculous, right? We talk a big game about innovation and competition. But when it comes to these EVs, there's a wall up. And it's not just about keeping out the competition. There's a whole mix of reasons. Some make sense, some are just, well, let's just say they're a little more political. First up, regulations. The US has some of the strictest car safety and emissions rules in the world. That's not a bad thing. Nobody wants to be driving around in a car that falls apart in a crash. But a lot of these new EVs, especially from China, just aren't built to those standards. Or if they are, the companies haven't gone through the expensive, time-consuming process to get them certified here. So, even if you could get your hands on one, you'd have a hard time getting it registered, insured, or serviced. It's kind of like buying a phone from overseas that doesn't work on US networks. Cool in theory, but a headache in practice. But that's just part of it. There's also this thing called direct sales restrictions. Here's where it gets interesting. In some states, Washington for example, Tesla is literally the only EV company allowed to sell cars directly to customers. Everyone else? Sorry, you've got to go through a dealership, or you can't sell at all. It's like Tesla got into the party early, and now they're the only ones allowed to use the good snacks. Companies like Rivian and Lucid, which are American startups, can't do direct sales in those states, and forget about any foreign brand trying to break in. And then you've got trade barriers. The US has slapped tariffs on a lot of Chinese goods, including cars. That makes it super expensive, sometimes impossible, for these companies to even try selling here. It's not just about safety or emissions anymore. It's about politics and protecting American jobs. And look, I get it. Nobody wants to see their job shipped overseas. But it does mean that for now, American consumers are missing out on some seriously cool cars. Here's the twist. While all this is going on, EVs are actually getting more popular here. The numbers are kind of all over the place. Some automakers are cutting back production because they overestimated demand. Others are seeing sales go through the roof. But the big picture is, every year, more EVs are hitting the road in the US. It's not a straight line, but it's definitely moving up. So why are these foreign EVs such a big deal? Well, for starters, they're cheap, like really cheap. Some of these cars are selling in Europe and Asia for less than what you'd pay for a used Honda Civic here. And they're not junkers. They come with big screens, smart features, crazy range, all the stuff people want. It's like if someone was selling iPhones for half the price, but you weren't allowed to buy them because they didn't have the right sticker on the box. And that's where the Tesla's Nightmare part comes. Tesla basically invented the modern EV market. They made electric cars cool, fast, and desirable. But now, there are new players coming up fast, and some of them are making cars that are just as good, or better, for less money. If those cars ever make it to the US, Tesla's got real competition. For now, though, the rules are keeping them out, and Tesla's got a pretty sweet deal in some states. But it's not just Tesla. The whole American car industry is in this weird spot. On the one hand, there's a push to get more EVs on the road. Tax, credits, rebates, all that. On the other hand, there's a lot of anxiety about jobs, about whether the charging network is good enough, about whether people really want to give up their gas trucks and SUVs. And then there's the politics. Some states are rolling back aggressive rules about zero-emission vehicles, which just adds to the confusion. Meanwhile, the rest of the world is moving fast. In Europe, EVs are everywhere. In China, they're even more common. And the cars are getting better every year. Some experts think that in just a few years, EVs will be as cheap as gas cars, even without government help. And when that happens, the pressure to let these foreign brands into the US is going to get a lot stronger. So, what does all this mean for you, the regular driver? Well, right now, it means the choices you see at your local dealership or online, if you're in a state that allows it, are just a slice of what's out there. There are cars being made right now that you can't buy, not because they're bad, but because the rules say you can't. And that's kind of wild when you think about it. Imagine if back in the day, you could only buy American TVs, and all the cool new models from Japan or Korea were off limits. Eventually, those rules changed, and consumers got way more choices, and prices dropped. Something like that could happen with cars, too. But it's going to take some time, and probably a lot of arguing in Congress. In the meantime, the EV market here is still growing. Yeah, there are bumps in the road. Some companies overestimated how many people wanted electric trucks, and there have been some high-profile recalls and production cuts. But overall, more people are buying EVs every year. And with all the money that's been poured into building factories, making batteries, and setting up charging stations, it's not like anyone's going to just walk away from this. It's a too-big-to-fail situation at this point. But here's the thing. As more people get interested in EVs, they're starting to ask, why can't I buy that cool car I saw online? And that's a fair question. The answer for now is a mix of safety rules, trade politics, and some old-school protectionism. But as the world changes, and as these cars get better and cheaper, that answer might not hold up forever. So, next time you see a headline about some amazing new EV that's illegal to sell in America, you'll know what's really going on. It's not about shady backroom deals or secret technology. It's about a system that's trying to balance safety, jobs, and competition. And sometimes that means the best stuff is just out of reach. But hey, things change. If history tells us anything, it's that when people really want something, they usually find a way to get it. Maybe in a few years, you'll be able to walk into a dealership or just order online and pick from a whole lineup of EVs from around the world. Until then, we'll just have to watch from the sidelines and maybe dream a little about what could be. And if you want to stay in the loop on stories like this, where tech, business, and real life collide, don't forget to subscribe. Seriously, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll catch you in the next one.